Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today for Kineo Totara Office Hours. Today we're going to be talking about the seminar and what is the difference? What makes it any different from face-to-face in older versions of Totara? So, as some of you know, when version 9 came out this year, don't worry if you're hearing version 9, know you're on 2.9. You're not crazy behind. It's just the new naming scheme. So when Totara 9 came out much earlier this year, one of the major differences, and we kind of highlighted it a while back earlier in the year, was that face-to-face has changed pretty significantly. There's a lot to it now, and but we never really went in a lot of detail, which actually surprised me. I went back and looked back through my records, and we don't have a good record of that. So we haven't talked about it yet, so I wanted to make sure that we did today. So a few things to look at. First of all, you guys know who I am. I'm Taylor Craig, and I'm the platforms consultant here. So let's go ahead and talk about what's really different. So first of all, the name is different. It used to be called face-to-face, and now it is called seminar. So that is our new name of the module itself. And the term session, which was the actual thing that people signed up for, the thing that people actually booked themselves into, that has now changed, and it is called event. So we've got two new terms. Face-to-face is now seminar, session is now event. Also, the location of the global site administrative settings, that has moved. It is now one of the main items on the administration list, so it's there. There are quite a few new settings in that global area, and that's really kind of what we're going to focus on specifically today. I want to kind of continue to explore face-to-face through the end of the year, really starting out next year, because there's quite a lot new things to it. There's also quite a few new reports. So in older versions, and I was comparing it against 2.9, so I didn't compare it back any further than 2.9. But from 2.9 to version 9, there are now 9 reports for seminars versus 3 reports in older versions for face-to-face. So that's something to be aware of. Also, you can now add assets. So things like projectors, things like computers, various things like that, and it actually kind of helps you to manage those particular assets as well, which is really nice. There's also a whole lot more that's available as well, but we won't be able to cover all of that in one session today. So we're just going to take a look at a few of the major items. So let me pull up my sites here, and we'll just take a quick look. All right, so this is a 2.9 site here that we're looking at. And let me just kind of split screen our situation here. Kind of helps to see one compared against the other. And then I've got version 9 pulled up here as well. All right, so let me get version 9 also split screened for us, and then we'll get down to business. Alrighty. Okay, so first things first, let's take a look at our site administration area. So I got to find my administration block. So site administration, we're looking at it in both instances. And in 2.9, which is my screen on the left, it is located under plugins, activity modules, face-to-face. And we've got all of these particular settings pages. Now in version 9, it is in the top level of settings. So, and it has moved up, so it's right here underneath appraisals now. It's not listed under plugins anymore. And it is seminars. And then you'll notice kind of right off the bat, we've got a little bit of difference here. So it goes straight into general settings over here. Here it starts out with events reporting. You'll notice we also have the ability to add assets here, which we did not have in previous versions. Okay. And we have event defaults, which used to be called session defaults. You can still add custom fields, you can still add rooms, you can still do all of that good stuff. You can also add custom fields to rooms. So you can add custom fields to rooms and assets, which is not something you could have done in the older versions. So let's just kind of explore the new version specifically today. But that's going to be your first major difference between the two, aside from, of course, the name changes and all of that good stuff. So what I want to take a look at first is going to be this events report. This is a pretty neat report, and it is actually available in 2.9, but in 2.9 it is not a report that's accessible here. You do have to go into Reports, Report Builder, Manage Reports, and you have to create the report. And it is the face-to-face, I believe it's the face-to-face summary and the face-to-face sessions. So these two reports are there in older versions, but you do have to actually go in and create the report yourself. In version 9, it's just listed under Seminar's event report. This is a really nice report for administrators, and it is still an embedded report. So if the data that you need or don't need or want isn't listed across these columns, just go to your report manager, your report builder, make your adjustments, and go from there. Okay, but basically what this is showing me is it gives me a good overview of everything that's happening as far as live events that are happening on my site. So I'm able to see if the event's over, if the booking is still open for anything. I'm also able to see if the event was canceled. Canceling events, that's another huge win for seminars. So in older versions, if you will recall, if you had an event that was canceled, you just had to delete it or hide it, and then nobody really knew what happened. Now you actually have a cancel button as an administrator, which is fabulous. You can go in, click cancel, and they receive a notification. Even cooler. So some nice features there. You also have access here under the actions column, so you can click attendees, and that's just going to take you straight into the attendees list of that particular seminar event. So you can actually see all of that information, and then of course manage that information from there. Okay, so that's going to be that. We have our session view as well. So the one we were looking at was the events view, which would have been the face-to-face view. Here are the actual sessions themselves, so I'm able to see the individual sessions that are listed on my site and see how many people signed up, all that good stuff. You also, of course, have filters up here. Again, these are embedded reports, so if you have particular filters you would prefer to have or particular columns you would prefer to have, you can absolutely go in and make those adjustments on your own. So that's there. Now, the next thing I want to really kind of go through here is the global settings area. On an older version, that's going to be called your general settings, but in the global settings, this is really kind of cool. So we now have what are called event roles. So basically, these roles can be tracked with each seminar event. They can be listed like as excuse me, listed as the person who's actually instructing it. So anyone who holds that role in the site can be selected as a particular person who is performing something in the event, and you can select that person. There are also now approval options that are available, and you can turn these off and on. These are global settings, so if we turn them off at the system level or the global level, that's going to make them not turned on by default inside of the actual sessions themselves. So here we have no approval required, meaning which is going to work plain Jane just like our current face-to-face works in older versions. Or we can have the learner accept terms and conditions now, so we can provide to them, I verify that I am who I say I am, blah, 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 terms and conditions, right? So we can make them do that and then agree to it so that we're getting that statement, we're getting that agreement. We can also now do a manager approval, which is really nice. We can also do, and you'll see down here, manager approval and then user select manager. You can also now do manager approval where, say they have maybe multiple managers, or they report to one specific person, but that person's out, so they need to actually have the other person approve them. They can actually go in and then select who that person is, who their actual manager is. And then we also have manager and administrative approval. So we can have kind of two-phased approval, which is nice as well. So the manager has to approve it, and then someone else at the administrative level also has to approve it. So you can have that two-phased approval approach. You have site-level administrative approvers. So if you're using this administrative approval, you can actually designate who that person is. So you can go in and you can say, you know what, Tammy is going to be our designated person. She's the one that's going to be able to go in and do that. You'll notice that these are all of my system administrators. If I was to look at my site admins, you would see that they would also be listed there as system administrators. So that's who it's giving me the ability to do. Now you'll notice here this one's saying anyone who can approve booking request. So that's going to be a permission inside of the roles where you can go and find approve any booking request. You can go find that particular thing in the permissions, check that box, and then that person would also appear if they had that role. So anyone with that role with that particular permission would also show up in this list. You can do multi-select by doing holding down control, right? So you can do that as well. Okay, I'm going to leave mine set to nobody. Again, I talked already about the users being able to select their manager. Allow override user conflicts. So this is going to allow conflicts to exist while you're creating a new event. So it would allow kind of that overlap. You can export user profile fields and export custom profile fields. So if you have a need for like your attendees list or anything like that, you have the need to export particular fields or not export particular fields, you can make the adjustment here and you can determine what is or isn't listed. Calendar filters. This one struck me as one of the coolest options out of all of them. So when I first saw version 9, I thought, uh-oh, the face-to-face calendar is gone. We have several clients who utilize what is called the quote face-to-face calendar, and it's quite confusing in older versions. In older versions, there are two separate calendars that kind of sort of work together. There's the regular calendar, which is the Moodle calendar, and then there's the face-to-face calendar, which would kind of correlated and went along directly with the actual, with its own calendar. And it was a totally different link and all of that stuff as well. So at that juncture, clients would have to decide, which one do I want to use? Do I want to use face-to-face calendar? Do I use the Moodle calendar? Which one do I use? Which one's most effective? What they've done now is they've merged that face-to-face calendar in with the Moodle calendar, which is fabulous. You'll also notice that all of these filters, these are going to be face-to-face filters, so I can sort by building and location, and then also you'll see that there's event filters there. Those particular filters are additional fields that I added in. So I added in additional fields, and so people can actually filter based on that. So you can add in as many additional fields, and as long as they're populated inside of your face-to-face, seminars, as long as those are populated, then people can actually search and narrow the calendar based on the different seminar criteria. So that's really nice. We've got some notification settings. You can disable the notifications. This one's standard, who the email comes from. And then you can also choose who notification recipients are. This is only going to be for major seminar events, like when you're using minimum capacity. So minimum capacity has been around for a while, but basically what it means is that if you say you have 10 seats for a session and you have minimum capacity at 5, if you don't hit 5, then your session doesn't make. So, or your event's not going to happen. So basically, that minimum capacity warning has to go to somebody. It doesn't really need to go to the learner necessarily, but it does need to go to someone so that they can go in and they can cancel it. So that's what that particular notification is referring to. One message per date. If this is turned on, then instead of getting one notification reminder per an extended event, so when we're talking about an extended event, we mean like a conference that's going to last 2 or 3 days. So instead of getting 2 or 3 emails per day, or 1 email per day for a 3-day conference, you would just get 1 email reminding you of all 3 days. So up to you on whether or not you turn that on. You can disable iCalendar. And then you have some additional settings here that I just kind of want to make you aware of. You have these, most of these available to you already in older versions, at least these additional filters. but you can display the event time zones, select job assignments. Now that one's going to be new because there's the ability to have multiple job assignments in version 9. And then put everyone on the waiting list. So that gives you kind of another two-phased approach to how you do approval. So you can force to put everyone on the waiting list. If you want to do that, I believe that is available in 2.7 even. And if you're not seeing that option inside of your face-to-face, go to your global settings and make sure that box is checked. Waitlist lottery, this one I believe was also something that came out with 2.7. Again, if you don't see that option, come in here and check your global settings. Hiding cost and discount and hiding the discount. So seminar and face-to-face, neither one will actually take payment. So unless you are wanting to make people aware that there is a cost or there is a discount when they get to the actual physical door, you can actually turn those settings off. Okay, so that's going to be a pretty major change as far as some of those settings that are available. We're going to take a quick peek here at the custom fields area. So you'll see here I can add custom fields for each event. I can do it for assets. I can do it for rooms, the sign-up page, user cancellation page, and event cancellation page. So I can add custom fields for quite a few things. And if we look at that compared to 2.9, you'll just see the major difference there. Let me pull that up. Face-to-face. So here's our difference. So in 2.9, it's just the session, the sign-up note, and the cancellation note. So now you can do it for rooms, assets, sign-up, user cancellation, and event cancellation. And then all of these can be calendar filters as well. So that's something that's a really nice feature and a major change to the feature for sure. And then finally, we have assets. Meant to click on that. So here's where you can add in the different assets that people can choose. You can allow either a scheduling conflict or not allow scheduling conflict. That's going to be the nice thing is that if I create a seminar event and I choose projector 123, then if Susan comes in and tries to schedule her an event in another course even and utilize projector 123 at the same time, she will not be allowed to do that. She will be asked to choose another one. So that's one of the very, very nice features there. There's also a details option here. Basically, it's just letting us know when it was created and then also if there are any upcoming sessions that are going to be using that asset, which is even better. So it lets you know if someone's using it or not. Okay, so those are going to be some of the major changes to face-to-face, which is now seminar. And I hope that you found this helpful, and I am going to go ahead and turn it over to you for questions. Thanks so much for joining me today. We will be out for quite a while because of the holidays, but we should be back up and running on the 4th of January. So we will see you next year. Have very, very happy holidays, and looking forward to many more next year. Thanks, guys. Bye.